Blog Talk Radio.
Are you ready? The champ is here! It's just a man! Give me a hell yeah! What the Rock is cooking? To be the man, you have to be the man! Big Papa Pump! If you're hooked up! Holla! In the air! Woo, woo, woo! Cup of coffee in the big time.
I love it.
Cup of coffee in the big time. Oh, yeah. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we are back with another Fernando free edition of Working the Marks. And I am the star of the show, Patty freaking Rican. Yes. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. And I'm really, really glad to be here today with some special guests. We obviously have Dee Rotten, the undisputed podcasting champion. Dee, how are you?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm doing better than a lot of other people in this world. I'll tell you that much.
Maybe some people might have gotten beat up in the last couple hours. And obviously we have a special guest panelist with us today, a man that I consider a brother, a true brother. Not a blood brother, but goddamn close to it. Ladies and gentlemen, the one and only Macho Rodriguez from the Must Love Wrestling Podcast. Macho, how are you? You get a pop today.
I like it. Sure. I like it. Thanks for putting me over, man.
Hey,
I'm excited to be here.
It's the least I could do. But
I don't have a wrestling shirt on today to replace Umberto, but I know.
It's all right. It's all right. Don't worry about it. You're here, and that actually speaks way more than what he would. And that's saying a lot because he speaks quite a lot. But we got a hell of a show for you people today. We're really, really excited to bring a lot of stuff. We're going to be covering the SummerSlam card as well as giving our predictions. But we got a little bit of news to go through, too. So I'll start out here. We're going to talk about the fight technical issues that caused confusion over the AEW subscription. So it's no mystery. It's been put out there that AEW is going to be having their own AEW app, which they're going to be presenting a lot of their stuff on, whether it's old episodes of Dynamite, Rampage, AEW Dark, and as well as many of their pay-per-views. AEW has finally decided to do it, to get in the 21st century, and I think, you know what, it's a really good move. It's something that is going to be beneficial to their fans, and hopefully it's something that they intend to launch sometime soon. But as per Ringside News, recently some international viewers of Fight, a popular streaming service for wrestling content, received notices stating that their AEW Plus subscriptions would be ending soon. This sparked speculations amongst fans and industry insiders that AEW might be on the verge of announcing its own dedicated streaming platform. However, it turns out that the notices were not an indication of AEW's plans to launch a standalone streaming service. The confusion arose due to technical issues on Fight's end rather than any deliberate decision by AEW. Warner Brothers Discovery currently holds the streaming rights to AEW content in the United States. Any news about AEW branching out to create its own streaming platform would be surprising, as the existing partnership with Warner Brothers Discovery has been fruitful. So I guess it's a little premature, some of this news coming out about the AEW Plus app. For me, again, I think it's a great idea. I think it's fantastic, and I think it's something that they should be doing. But obviously, some people might feel differently. Macho, I'm going to go with you first, and then I'm going to go over to Dee on this one. What are your thoughts on AEW and what appears to be this botch on their behalf as far as their streaming service is concerned?
Well, honestly, I just think it speaks to what the company normally does, which is botch all announcements. From what I'm reading here, it seems like it's going to be available on almost all your streaming platforms, right? Like Roku, the Fire Stick, Apple TV, Chromecast, all of that. So, I mean, a lot of people talk about missing the WWE network and talking about how Peacock is that kind of downgraded it. So hopefully AEW can get something right.
I feel like there's somebody that's been on this program that just does not stop talking about it. I mean, if I could just put my finger on it. But Dee, what do you think about this?
Bro, I'm telling you right now, man, it's going to be a fucking snooze fest, just like every single episode of Collision and Dynamite. It's not even worth it. They don't have any good content like the E. They don't have, they got ROH. That's about it. What are they going to do? Just make an ROH app.
Yeah.
I think in a way it's actually good for them, and it's beneficial to their fans because, I mean, look, let's be honest, paying $50 a month is a lot. They have 2 pay-per-views coming up this month alone between All In and All Out. And that right there will probably be about $100 for both shows. All out? Yeah, it's All In and All Out. So it's
Are they a week apart, right?
Yeah, it's in and out, in and out, in and out. But I think personally that this would be a step in the right direction for them. I don't think that they're ready to go there just yet, as per this report on Ringside News. But I definitely think that it's something that AEW should certainly consider in the long term, especially for the future of the company. So we'll see as that develops. But a little bit of more news here. Triple H obviously is a guy that is no stranger to controversy. And Triple H made some pretty interesting comments recently on the Cody Rhodes documentary, which I don't know if you guys have had the chance to watch. I did, and I just thought it was absolutely fantastic.
Yeah.
I know that there's a percentage of certain fans that are going to argue and say, well, they shouldn't have mentioned AEW. They shouldn't. I mean, look, it's a WWE product. What are you going to do? I think for what it was, for the story that they were trying to tell, where they're trying to go with Cody, it was fantastic. But Triple H recently called AEW a secondary promotion as part of Cody Rhodes' documentary on Peacock. And while speaking with the Orlando Sentinel, Tony Khan addressed Triple H's remarks about AEW. The AEW president made it clear that he believes AEW is not a secondary promotion, citing AEW All-In success in the United Kingdom, adding that WWE is now secondary in various markets. He said, and I quote, "We certainly won't be the secondary promotion at All In," he said. "We're number 1 in the UK, on TV, and with a record gate. I have a lot of respect for Cody. I know these weren't his words, to be fair, but we're not secondary in a lot of markets. For the first time in a long time, WWE has been secondary in a lot of markets. I'm proud of where we're at, and we're not taking a backseat to anybody." So obviously, Tony Khan felt some type of way about these comments. Macho, what do you got to say about this one?
I mean, that's a lot of talking for a televised indie show. I mean, to be quite honest with you, there's really nothing about that show that makes me think that they're your first option. I mean, there's a reason why they purposely have their shows off nights where WWE is performing. Like, they're not going to do Monday. They're not going to go head to head. They're not going to try to do Friday at the same time. They know SmackDown's getting most of the views. And they obviously picked Saturday because Tony Khan grew up a WCW fan and he wants to do the Saturday night main event. I don't know. I mean, I don't know why he would poke the bear, but I mean, Triple H didn't say anything that was false. And I know that there's reports out there that people said that he sounds condescending while saying it. I watched the special. It didn't sound condescending at all. It sounded like Triple H. He normally sounds like a dick. I don't know what to tell you.
Wow. Okay. Dee, what do you think?
I mean, to answer Macho's thing with the whole Triple H normally sound like a dick. I didn't think he sounded like a dick. I just think that he didn't want to say AEW.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he's just being honest. You are the secondary promotion. WWE is number 1 in every market around the world. Come on, man. Agreed. He's just being honest.
Yeah. I agree with that as well. I mean, you're talking about a company that has revolutionized the way we view wrestling.
Yep.
I mean, we're talking about decades here. You're going back to the territory days. You're going back to when Vince just used to run this area here in the Northeast. And how Vince has been able to adapt from the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s, 2010s, and now. And, every time that people thought that WWE might have been taking a step backwards, they were just only pushing forward. And really the model that we have now is based on what they've done. So in a lot of ways, not to hurt the feelings of the AEW fans, which is pretty easy to do these days.
Yep.
He's not wrong.
He's not
wrong. He's not wrong.
They're the blueprint. AEW is just following the blueprint in marketing and everything, bro. Like toys, video games, like shirts, towels, whatever you want to call underwear, socks. They just follow the WWE trail. They're number 1. They set the bar. No question.
Yeah, absolutely. As far as marketing goes, pay-per-view, presentation, and really how to push characters, how to develop characters, and how to tell long-term stories. Vince McMahon has really set the standard for that.
I'd say this, not to cut you off, Pat, but the one thing they didn't follow in the blueprint is how to run a company correctly.
Ooh.
That's the one thing that didn't follow.
Ouch. Damn, D, you got live rounds today, huh?
I'm telling you, bro.
Ooh.
I mean, he's not lying. If I could just follow up what Dee said there, I mean, it's absolutely true. He's not lying at all because they have people backstage that can help them write these stories, that can help them get people over on television. They don't use them all. You can almost see that Tony Khan is playing like he's that kid who's playing with his wrestling action figures, and he's like, oh, I'm just going to have these random matches and not sell you these matches. That's exactly what's happening. We're watching it now with their newest pay-per-view. 80,000 tickets sold. 3
allegedly.
Random matches. Yeah, allegedly. I'm sorry. 3 random matches. And who's going to pay $50 for that?
And just to
$50.
$50 for that. $50 for that. Yeah,
it wasn't even a pay-per-view until this month. It wasn't going to be televised at all.
Yeah. I mean,
I thought it was going to be a YouTube thing.
I think that would be better for them, but I mean, look, you have that kind of a venue. You definitely want to showcase it. You want to put out that image of a semi-packed stadium or however they're going to configure it. But to Macho's point there, you said that there was 3 matches that were announced, and for our audience members that haven't had a chance to comb the interwebs today, what are those 3 matches that have been announced thus far for this card at Wembley Stadium for All In?
Okay, so they announced Jeff Jarrett versus Grotto.
Who's Grotto?
Grado. I think it's Grado. Yeah.
I'm sorry.
He's a comedy wrestler. He's good. He's good. Don't get me wrong. And Jeff Jarrett, let me tell you something.
Yeah.
Jeff Jarrett's one of the best performers in AEW right now. And the guy's like, what, 60-something?
Absolutely.
Can't say anything about Double J there, man. So
no, he's doing good. The other match is the guy that they've been trying really hard to get over, Jack Perry. They're trying to make him their own Dominic Mysterio. And him versus RVD. Which that's a weird way to announce that RVD has joined your company, to just tweet it.
Yeah,
that's
crappy.
Where's the vignettes? Where's the vignettes?
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, the surprise entrance, anything. It's just so weird because they did a great job of unveiling Adam Cole and Bryan Danielson. You would think that they would do the same with RVD, but I guess not.
Yeah.
And then the most underwhelming tag match that I could think of, which is the Young Bucks versus FTR. I mean,
FTR, the greatest tag team in the world, from MJF's mouth.
Oh my God. Yeah, from MJ. Yeah, okay.
Well, look, I think it's a very controversial statement when FTR says that. Obviously, there's a lot of people that might feel differently. There's some people that do support them and think that they're the best tag team in the business. In my opinion, the best tag team in the business were the guys that held the tag titles for a very long time and main evented WrestleMania, and one of them is in the main event of SummerSlam, which we'll talk about very, very soon.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you talk about underwhelming. I mean, this is incredibly underwhelming. And RVD, to your point, who's a guy that would be an immense surprise for, any wrestling fan, because who doesn't love RVD, especially fans of AEW who are typically hardcore fans who grew up during the Attitude Era. This is a guy you want to announce. You wanted to have Tony Khan probably buy the rights for Walk so that he could come out there and do his whole entrance, which he hasn't done in about 20-something years.
I'm sure Pantera would sell it to him, too. Yeah.
He could probably get them on the cheap now that they're on tour.
Yeah, absolutely.
They're in Europe right now.
Why
there
not?
You go.
Why not? You know what I'm saying? I mean, that just adds to it. But yeah, I mean, you gotta be a little bit boggled on that one, man. And Jack Perry, look, man, I think them breaking up him and Hook was a little too premature. I think they could have rode that out a lot longer. You could have made those guys a top babyface tag team. You could have had him even go against the Young Bucks. You could have had him go against FTR. I mean, you could have done a lot more with them, and then you could have had the turn there. But, obviously Tony Khan feels differently. Tony Khan wants to do a little bit more with Jack Perry, which he really hasn't done. And Hook, I mean, you talk about a flavor of the week. I mean, a flavor of like how long ago? I mean, he's on Spice now. You know what I'm saying?
His dad's already talking about him going to fucking NXT.
Well, if we could just go back for a second, we were talking about the app that AEW is unveiling, right? And I mentioned during that where they screw up like announcements. Think about this RVD thing. They have the FTW Championship, right? That's their main title. That's their way of swaying ECW fans to follow over to AEW. And instead of using that as a surprise way to get RVD over, they just tweet. It's just a tweet. Okay, here you go. RVD's coming out.
Yeah, that's
the biggest name in ECW history.
Yeah,
that's insane.
Literally a guy who did for ECW what I'm doing here every week for working the marks. Carried it on his back.
WWE Hall of Famer.
Yeah.
And the WWE Hall of Famer, and a man who gave Vince McMahon rolling papers at the Hall of Fame. I mean, how many people can say that, you know?
Yeah.
So, I mean, you know, I'm with you, man. I just think it's incredibly silly. And I just feel like, you know, why do this? Like, why not have this big announcement? You know, obviously you're gearing towards Jack Perry versus Jerry Lynn, right? Mm-hmm. I'm sure that'll be good for what it is, you know, because Jerry Lynn's, you know, really smart guy. He's got great psychology. They're really going all in on getting this kid over as a heel. I mean, like, why not just build it up? You know, why not just have Jack Perry versus Jerry Lynn on TV and then, you know, make an announcement about, you know, the next opponent and he's going to be meeting you at All In, and then you play walk. The place would go nuts. And you wasted that. You wasted the buzz just to make an announcement on Twitter. Very on par for AEW, unfortunately. And just more of the same old stuff. It just seems like Tony is not really learning the promotional lessons.
No.
And AEW, unfortunately, is paying the price for this. So
let me ask you a question. Does his father say anything to him about this? It's his father's money.
I don't know. You know, to be quite honest, I don't think his dad is entirely invested in the company outside of just like giving money to him to do whatever he's got to do. Yeah. I think he trusts in the fact that Tony's going to make the best decisions possible in the name of the company. And, you know, I think if he had the oversight of somebody who is a little bit more of a seasoned wrestling mind, which he does have it there.
He's still got Arn Anderson over there.
He's got
Malenko.
Arn Anderson.
Yeah.
He's got Malenko. He's got Jerry Lynn. He's got Sting. He's got Jake Roberts. He's got all these people that could just help him out. And instead of doing that, he's just like, I don't know, just pissing in the wind. You know what I mean? And it's completely costing him everything. So unfortunately, that's the situation we find ourselves in now. And that's that, you know, as far as the card's concerned.
Yeah. I agree with you there. I almost feel like if Jack Perry, if they were going to do this whole FTR thing, like if Vince was going to book this, or even Triple H, whoever you think is booking, it doesn't matter. But just for the sake of this argument, I feel like he would do it where he would bring out every old veteran that wasn't signed, like a Justin Credible or a Lance Storm, like anybody that he could get Jack Perry over on to lead up to that inevitable RVD thing. And that's just simple booking. Yeah. And Tony Khan does none of it. He's just like, nope, we're going to have him talk with Jerry Lynn and then tweet about RVD.
Sounds like WWE booking to me.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
Putting people over and getting them built up, you know?
Yeah.
Well, you know,
you would think,
telling a long-term story, using your weeks and weeks and weeks and weeks of television to try and get this angle hot so that people are invested in this by the time you get to the pay-per-view and they get a payoff or whatever the case might be. So,
yeah.
I mean, more of the same old from AEW. But speaking about another man who is no stranger to controversy at all, Paul Heyman got a lot of heat from the marks this week. And I got to be honest, it's Paul Heyman being Paul Heyman, the genius that he is, the character that he is. And while appearing, I believe on First Take with Stephen A. Smith and Roman Reigns, he was... I believe it was Stephen A. Smith that had mentioned Bobby the Brain Heenan, the late great Bobby the Brain Heenan, and Paul Heyman said, quote, "Screw Bobby Heenan, he's dead, and Jimmy Hart's still alive, which means that God doesn't answer my prayers."
Yeah.
That one obviously set the internet on fire, and that one had the marks going crazy. And I got to be honest with you, it's Paul Heyman being Paul Heyman. Not a surprise here.
Think it was a shoot?
You know, I don't know. I think it's Paul Heyman being a character. I think it's Paul Heyman talking in character. But D, what did you think of this one when you saw it? And I'll go with D here first on this one. D, what'd you think of Heyman's comments in regards to the late great Bobby Heenan as well as the Mouth of the South, Jimmy Hart?
I mean, I found out through one of the Working the Mark legends here. I found out through Uribe, the professor. He posted it up.
Who?
Working the Mark's legend, Uribe, the professor.
Oh, you mean the guy that doesn't show up to work? Yeah. Okay.
I saw him post it up, and I don't know. I mean, at first glance in the first hearing, I got offended. So I was like, bro, you're talking about the dead, dude. I went into it, bro. I was like, I'm a fan, and I'm just like, fuck, man, what the fuck's wrong with him, dude? Like, how you need to talk ill will about the dead, and then you're wishing fucking poor Jimmy Hart, the guy who only eats a baked potato and like fucking, what is he? Just a baked potato and something else for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. The guy's, he's pushing the fucking into the coffin anyway, And it's like, but then I thought about when I talked to Pat over here, Working the Mark's legend, always in work, always on time. And I asked, he's just like,
not always on time, but yeah.
he's just like, yeah, man, don't read into it, man. He's probably, he's probably just in character. And I'm like, you know what? You're right. Maybe he's doing it old school. He's in character, because he got both belts on. He's acting like a fucking prick, And I was like, all right, man, but then, you see the internet's on fire with this shit, dude. People are pissed. People want his head, bro.
Absolutely. Macho, what'd you think of it?
I loved it because I feel like Heyman would do the same thing. I mean, am I wrong about that?
Not at all.
I absolutely feel like he would do the same thing. I mean, some of the things he said on television, they kind of equate to this. And it's just one of those things where Heyman is going to be this guy. He's always been this guy. If you go back, he did some panel where they ask him about Ambrose, and he starts going in on Ambrose. But that they have a great relationship. You know what I mean? But he had to play the role. So it's like, this isn't the first time he's caught heat. It's not going to be the last time. And I love it. And everything he said after that was right, too. Like, in terms of character with Roman and stuff like that, like, why would they pair Roman with anybody who's not the GOAT of that, category, especially since that's what people believe Roman is, which is the GOAT.
Yeah, absolutely. And to your point, Paul Heyman did proclaim himself the GOAT manager.
Yeah.
So that obviously got a lot of heat, and it got a lot of people going. And to be quite honest, I think they're just doing a fantastic job of promoting
great
the brand, promoting the matchups. Now more people are invested this week in seeing the demise of Roman Reigns and seeing Jey Uso walk out of there as the undisputed champion. So very, very, very great stuff from Paul Heyman. Certainly on brand from him. And something that we're all going to be looking forward to this weekend, and just again more great stuff for him. Now it's interesting because, let's take a moment here to kind of compare him to Bobby Heenan, because Bobby Heenan originally had a background as a wrestler. Bobby Heenan was a trained worker. Bobby Heenan did a lot of great stuff. And as far as the physical aspects of being a manager is concerned and getting heat, Heenan was certainly ahead of Heyman, like in that regard. I mean, you take a look at. I was watching an old clip of when Rick Rude put Jake Roberts' wife on his tights, right? So he rips off the tights and he's doing the whole fucking hip gyrations and all this stuff. And here comes Jake Roberts. And if you look at it, man, Heenan books it from the ring, but he does in a single jump right over the top rope and goes over like so fluidly. That's something that a worker can do. And mind you, Bobby Heenan wasn't a very tall guy to begin with.
No.
Bobby Heenan was like 5'6", 5'7". He wasn't a big guy, but man, he had some serious hops. But he sold the fact that he was afraid for his life. And here comes Jake the Snake Roberts, and he's going to beat the shit out of him. And he's going to beat the shit out of Rick Rude. But as far as the physical aspects were concerned, Bobby Heenan was fantastic. And for you fans that are out there, check out some of Bobby Heenan's stuff in Japan. It's really, really cool. And I just really enjoyed it. And Bobby also ended up having a matchup with the Ultimate Warrior as well. Which was pretty interesting in itself, but there's a lot of similarities between them, but there's also some differences. And I think as far as it goes with the physical aspects, Bobby Heenan did that very well. I think with Heyman, in regards to him doing the physical stuff, there's more of an anticipation. There's more of a build to it. And when he finally gets his, whether he gets super kick or F5, it's really, really worth it. And the crowd just goes, just crazy for it. So
absolutely, yeah.
It's great stuff, and obviously they are both two of the greatest all times, and certainly two guys that you can debate about, till the sun comes up. But in other news, Vince McMahon, and we had talked about Vince McMahon last week here on the show, and Vince McMahon having his spinal surgery, which he's recovering from. But Vince McMahon was served with a subpoena. And a search warrant in regards to his previous case, along with the board of directors and the hush money stuff that he, had been accused of. So he had been served with the subpoena, and apparently they had gone and they had stormed the WWE headquarters. And the quote that we have here reads, in 2022, WWE formed a special committee to review allegations of misconduct against me. This is directly from Vince McMahon, mind you. That review was concluded in November 2022 following an extensive investigation. Throughout this experience, I have always denied any intentional wrongdoing and continue to do so. I am confident that the government's investigation will be resolved without any findings of wrongdoing. I am focused on completing the recovery process for my recent spinal surgery and on closing our transaction with Endeavor, which, by the way, folks, it hasn't been concluded, the transaction just yet. It's pretty much there. The intention to buy is there, but obviously these things take a very, very long time because there's a fuck ton of money involved.
Yeah.
And he said, which will create one of the preeminent global sports and entertainment brands. So Vince McMahon issuing a statement here and addressing, basically with people that are out there that, hey, I have nothing to hide. This is who I am. And, I'm open to being investigated as much as possible. Obviously, Vince McMahon is a very, very controversial figure amongst some wrestling fans. And he's also a guy that's liked by some wrestling fans. But he's certainly somebody that is always talked about amongst wrestling circles. Macho, what do you think about this one? How do you feel about this and Vince's statement that he released in regards to this?
I mean, honestly, I was shocked. I thought this was over. I thought it was all gone. I thought we were moving on, and I thought the news that broke about his spinal surgery and everything, I thought that was going to calm all the marks down, where everybody was going to be like, hey, you know what? Maybe he isn't there. Maybe it is Triple H booking all this stuff and we can just shut the fuck up and enjoy the show. But having all this stuff, I feel like all it does is just adds fuel to the fire for people to just go in an uproar and complain about the company on Twitter. It's, I don't know. I really didn't, like I said, I thought it was over.
Right. Dee, how about you? What did you think of this?
I just think it's kind of messed up, but I mean, that is the U.S. government. The guy just had spinal surgery, and you're gonna go busting up into his house, into his business. It's like, yeah, like Mach said, man. I thought it was done. I thought it was over with, bro. You didn't hear shit. I thought the money got greased, the palms got greased, and everything was done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. I don't understand, man. I don't understand what are they trying to get now? They want more greasing of the palms. What do they want?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's also my understanding, too, that Vince has taken an indefinite leave of absence as far as it goes with his backstage responsibilities at the bigger shows. Now, it's my understanding that Triple H is overseeing all of the creative except the Bloodline. The Bloodline, as per Billy Body, was reported that the people responsible for that angle are Michael Hayes, Paul Heyman, Roman Reigns, with Vince McMahon having final say. So he's obviously very involved in that huge angle. He will continue to assume his responsibilities as CEO for the company, but will not be actively traveling on the road as he recovers from spinal surgery.
Do you think they all have Vince on FaceTime, walking around backstage?
Maybe. I mean, look, again, people could say, well, this guy's lost his marbles. He doesn't know what he's doing. He's out of touch. He's this, he's that. But let me tell you something. This guy's the godfather of the industry. If it wasn't for him, we wouldn't have a business. We wouldn't even be doing this right now. And I say this all the time, I swear, on the show. Okay? But we would not be here on this show chopping it up, talking about wrestling with Macho with that beautiful Puerto Rican flag in the background there. We wouldn't be doing that. We wouldn't be doing that regularly if it wasn't for Vince McMahon and him doing what he did to save the professional wrestling business or the sports entertainment business, whatever you want to call it. So, obviously, he's a guy that's going to be surrounded in controversy, and fans are going to go and they're going to want to believe whatever they want to believe. They're going to want to believe the dirt sheets and whatever conspiracy theories. But I got to tell you, if you want any more proof that Vince McMahon is not running things, Zoe Starks is on the main roster, okay? Tommaso Ciampa is on the main roster, okay? Chad Gable is getting a push, okay? Remember Shorty G?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So the fact that those people are on TV and Tiffany Stratton is not on TV, that should tell you everything you need to know that Vince is not backstage and he's not calling any shots except for overseeing, coincidentally, the hottest angle in the business. So there's that, but I wouldn't be surprised if some more came out in the coming months. And hopefully this whole thing gets wrapped up soon and we can stop hearing about it and Vince can continue to dye his eyebrows and his mustache and his hair and whatever else. So, yeah, exactly. So, but now we finished up this news segment here, and now we're gonna switch on to the main event topic here over at Work in the Marks, and we're gonna get into the SummerSlam card. SummerSlam is gonna be coming to pay-per-view. It's also gonna be on the Peacock app. There's people that actually still buy pay-per-view, believe it or not.
Pat, in Europe though they still have the WWE Network. So if you want to go get a little VPN thing, you can still watch the network.
You can get a VPN. Hey, we'll tell Uribe about that one so that he can stop crying. Although that'll never stop. But anyways, WWE SummerSlam is going to be emanating from Ford Field this weekend on Saturday night, and the card I believe is going to be starting at about 7:00. I think that's the pre-match or the pre-game show, whatever the hell you want to call it, and the main card will be starting at 8 p.m. So. there's a couple of matches that actually got cut out. I know it caused a little bit of controversy. I know one of them being, well, Becky Lynch versus Trish Stratus. That was one of them that was cut out.
It's trending pretty hard on Twitter right now. People are pretty angry about it.
There's a lot of people. I mean, look, here's the thing, folks.
You don't have to like got a belt.
I get it, and I understand it, and I understand that there's fans of both of those women. And by the way, I gotta say, this is some of the best stuff Trish has done. I mean, Trish has been a phenomenal heel so far.
Yeah.
And, you know, she's doing great with this. She's giving Zoe Starks a rub, which is good because Zoe Starks definitely needs that. She needs to kind of move on up the card. And for and for her to work with Becky Lynch, I think is an absolute plus. And is certainly a dream match, you know, having Trish Stratus versus Becky Lynch. But it's my understanding that they're postponing this match till they get to Canada. So they're obviously going to use this match for TV. They also took Raquel versus Rhea Ripley for the women's undisputed, the women's, I believe, women's world heavyweight championship, whatever the hell they call it, the Raw title, that one. So they took that match off the show, and it was going to be Rhea versus Raquel Rodriguez. Is that her name?
Yeah.
Okay, there you go.
Call it the back.
Yeah, the back.
Yeah.
The back. Braun Strowman's boo. So they took that match off the card too, which people are going mental about. I mean, look, folks, this is why they always say card subject to change. Okay, these things have to happen sometimes. It's unfortunate, but you know what? You're gonna have these matches later on down the road. You're gonna get them at a different date. At the end of the day, we know that the marks love to complain just to complain. So. What are you going to do about that? But we'll start off with the first match that should be opening the show, and that's the SummerSlam Battle Royal. And among some of the participants in this match are Sheamus and Mr. LA Knight, who is just right now.
The number one merch seller in the WWE.
The number one merch seller in the WWE.
He has three shirts in the top 5 right now.
Wow.
Yeah, 3.
Roman's number 2.
That is bananas.
That's crazy. That's how you know Vince isn't booking this shit right now, because Vince cares about that stuff. He would be way up the card if Vince was booking.
I think that there's a lot more than meets the eye with LA Knight. I think that maybe there's some truth to some of the stuff going on backstage.
About his attitude?
Yeah.
You think is he related to Matt Cardona?
No. This is your conspiracy theory that he's like the Back to the Future Matt Cardona.
I just talked about this. Yeah, I think so too. I'm like, wow, this guy's just the internet champion 2.0. I love it.
Yep.
And actually one half of the WWE Women's Tag Team Champions as well.
Yeah.
But and the Deathmatch King. But I gotta say, I mean, I think they're kind of working a slow burn here with LA Knight, and they're kind of taking their time, and they're kind of just slowly crawling there to really build up to a big moment. And again, some of the participants in that matchup are LA Knight and Sheamus. Guys, who do you think is going to come out on top in this battle royal? Do you think it could be LA Knight, Sheamus, or maybe even a dark horse? I'll start with you, Macho.
I mean, honestly, I love how LA Knight continues to be like in the final, like 2, and then he loses at the last second. So I kind of just like that in terms of story. But I fully expect that, Triple H is one of those guys that he says sometimes the obvious answer is the right answer. So I think LA Knight walks away the winner of the Battle Royal.
What about you, D? While I fucking eat here like a fucking scumbag.
I'm putting my money on Braun Strowman. He's going to get another win in a battle royal, and it's going to mean shit.
Wow.
Okay.
All right.
Did he won the battle royal? He won the what is that? The Andre the Giant Memorial.
The Andre the Giant over the top rope Memorial Invitational Battle Royal.
Yeah.
Yes. And he won
also won. He won the greatest Royal Rumble, which is actually he's the longest reigning greatest Royal Rumble champion in history. Yeah. I think he's the longest reigning active champion in WWE.
I kind of think if he's in there, bro, they're just going to give it to him.
You think so?
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, well, you know what? I'm gonna go with Mach here, and I'm gonna say LA Knight's gonna walk away. I think that's a great way to start the show. You're gonna have the crowd invested in that. And I think that the fans are kind of a little tired with seeing LA Knight kind of get the shafts. So I think he's going to come out with the win in this one. So we'll see what happens. In another match on the card, this is one that I got to say, I know some fans weren't particularly thrilled with. They didn't think that it was going to be a really good program or that it was going to be interesting. And it features one of the talents that a lot of people have soured on. A lot of the marks, the internet trolls have soured on, and that's Rowdy Ronda Rousey taking on Shayna Baszler, the submission magician, in an MMA rules match in WWE.
Gorgeous.
There's been a ton of talk recently about Ronda leaving after SummerSlam, which is obviously heightening speculation that Shayna's going to walk out the winner in this matchup. So it's certainly an interesting matchup to take a look at. Dee, I'm going to go with you first on this one. Who do you think's walking out the winner?
Bro, I'm telling you, I'm not a fan of Ronda Rousey. And her second run, bro, it's so bland, bro. It's like making rice without some salson and some what was that? What's that magic Puerto Rican sauce you guys make? Sofrito.
Yeah, sofrito. Yeah. I love it. I like how you rolled the R.
Nice.
I have to, bro. I have to. I've been dating these Spanish women all my life, bro. If
There
I
you
don't,
go.
smack me. But yeah, I think she's just really bland, and I love Shayna Baszler. I think Shayna Baszler is one of the most gorgeous lesbian women I ever seen in my life.
Oh my god!
So, I'm putting all my cards on
What
Shayna,
the
bro.
fuck?
She's
Damn.
good, but I know
My man shooting his shot. Mach, what do you think?
I mean, I gotta agree with Dee. I think Shayna wins. I think the whole point of Ronda leaving is to just go out on her back, put over her best friend. I think people are really hard on Ronda. I'm one of the biggest Ronda Rousey fans ever. I mean, I've been a fan of hers. I bought her book, read through her stuff, been following her since MMA. So I think she's a great person. I actually love how good she is in the ring, and people just don't want to give her any fucking credit. I don't understand it. I really don't. I don't get it.
I'm with you there. I think that she gets unfairly criticized by a lot of the fans that couldn't even run around the block, let alone run the ropes. And I just think that I just think that she's, somebody who's used her star, used her notoriety to not put herself over, to not make herself the champion of everything. Obviously, she was given the championship, but she's done a lot of great stuff. She's given a lot of people rubs recently. I mean, she put over Liv Morgan, which, nobody saw that coming. And, unfortunately, it didn't really work out for some reasons. Given that, Liv couldn't really stay healthy, so they had to kind of switch it up. But
is the most bland superstar in the history of the business.
Well, I don't know. There's some blander people, and I think they wrestle in AEW, but that's just me. But I just think that Ronda doesn't get a fair rap. She's using her star to give back to the business, to help people. She's been champion before. She was 1/3 of the first ever all women's main event in WrestleMania. That's fucking history. And guess what? That wouldn't happen without her. But unfortunately, in this matchup, I got to say, I think Shayna's going to walk out the winner here. I like the build. I like the emotions that we've been seeing from those two who aren't really particularly promo people. Particularly that vignette last night I thought was fantastic. So, and look, for me, as somebody who appreciates, really solid technical wrestling, who appreciates, world of sport and catch wrestling, I think these two are going to put on a clinic. I think it's going to be fantastic, and it has potential to be one of the matches of the night. So, but I do expect Shayna to walk out there, and we'll see what happens with Ronda in the future. There were some reports of her wanting to be a Paul Heyman girl. So let's see where some things end up, and let's see if maybe she has a change of heart and comes back.
Love that.
Moving along the card, we have the WWE Intercontinental Championship being defended as Gunther steps in to take on the returning Drew McIntyre. Obviously, these two, they've wrestled each other in 3 ways along with Sheamus. They had one of the best matches probably at WrestleMania. These guys just bring it every time that they're in the ring. I'm predicting a pretty hard, stiff match in this one. Mach, I'm going to go with you on this one. Who do you got coming out the Intercontinental Champion here?
Gunther, no question. I think what's he 40 days away from breaking the record?
Did he beat Pedro Morales yet?
Yeah, I think he beat Pedro, and I think he's got to beat Honky. There was also reports coming out that Triple H was. There was also reports that Triple H did not like the fact that Honky Tonk Man was the longest reigning Intercontinental Champion, and he felt that was a stain to the title's legacy. So obviously he wants to see somebody different. Gunther's been on a roll of a lifetime, so I would not be surprised if Gunther walks out there. D, how you feeling about this matchup?
I can care less about fucking either one of them.
Really?
But I do think it is kind of. I still think Macho Man should have been number 1 in the IC friggin' rankings. But they put Honky Tonk Man there because he's right place, right time.
I agree.
But I mean, I don't know. Gunther, man, he just seems like I don't know, like some.
What
fake,
don't you like? What don't you like about these guys?
Like a fake Nazi, dude. It's like a fake. Like, who's the guy? Who's the guy? You know, fucking Triple H's boy. Who's the
Kurgan?
No,
Kurgan
like
or Baron von Raschke.
He's like a low grade Baron von Raschke, bro. And I tell you this, Drew, I don't care for his wrestling, bro, but when I stood next to the motherfucker, his biceps were fucking the size of my head, dude. And very nice guy. He didn't have to say hi to me, bro, but he sat there and talked for a couple seconds. So
I don't know, man.
Personality wise, he's good.
I like Drew so much. If Pat could, like, if we could get you some inside baseball, I was marking out for Drew, complaining when he didn't win at Cardiff. Pat, you remember that? Really? I'm a big Drew McIntyre fan. Yeah, I think he's great, man. I think he's a great in-ring performer. I think it sucks that he had that COVID match with Lesnar and they just had like a 6-minute main event.
That shit was bland, dude.
Yeah, it was real bad, especially because I love Lesnar. He's on my personal Mount Rushmore. I just, I don't know, man. I really think this match is going to be crazy good.
Bro, he's a 3-man band, dude. He's a 3-man band.
I mean, look, I don't think that it's fair to criticize other people for their previous shitty gimmicks. I mean, he made the most out of it, and at one point, those 3 guys were pretty darn over.
He was a bad bass player, bro. It's a bad bass player.
He played bad air bass.
Yes.
But I mean, I'm a fan of both. I think they're both fantastic performers. Mm. I think that they're guys that bring it every time that they're in there. Gunther, there's just something. And I mean, look, and I get the whole bootleg Nazi thing, but like, I just think that there's something so old school about him. Yeah. So believable about him. He's obviously committed himself to his fitness, which I think is fantastic. Mm-hmm. He's selling that look that he has.
He's like Wyatt. He's like Bray Wyatt with short hair.
Whoa.
I wouldn't go that far. You know who he reminds me of, though, with his look now? Regal. He reminds me of Regal for some reason. Yep. I don't know why, but I see a lot of Regal.
That's a big compliment, Pat.
It certainly is, but he has the skills to pay the bills, as they say.
Yeah, I agree.
And Drew McIntyre is another guy. I mean, but as far as this match goes, I got to think Gunther's going to walk out there, and I think that they're eventually going to lead towards a matchup between those two, which, by the way, this past week on Raw, hell of a matchup between Chad Gable and Gunther there. I mean, Chad Gable's another guy on one of my favorites, like on my favorites list for sure, and a guy that certainly delivers every time and has one of the best gimmicks going with the Alpha. Is it Alpha Academy now? They got the Alpha. I always want to call them American Alpha, but the Alpha Academy is fantastic. Otis is great, and obviously giving them Maxine, I think, just put them over the top
already. Give Otis the pink slipper.
No,
the 3 of them are great, man. Yeah. I gotta say, I didn't realize Maxine Dupree was gonna be this charismatic.
Oh yeah,
I had no clue, man. She fits them perfectly.
Yeah. I think she was the final missing touch. The shoosh stuff is getting over huge. The thank you, all that stuff. I mean, this has been a long time coming, and there's certainly guys that are really up on the rise. Moving along the card, we have a matchup that is pretty much a blood feud, I guess you could say, or a modern-day blood feud between the American Nightmare, Cody Rhodes, and Brock Lesnar. This is the rubber match of the series, and I got to say, I enjoyed the first 2 matches. The first match out there in Puerto Rico, that electric Puerto Rican crowd really added to it. We saw something that we hadn't seen in a very long time. We saw blood. We saw blood in a wrestling match. The hard way. I mean, that was amazing. I love the story that they told. I love that Cody outsmarted him with the wrestling and rolled him up. I thought that was great. The second match I thought was awesome too. Cody going in there with the broken arm, showing a lot of courage, and passed out from the pain to the Kimura lock, which of course a lot of the marks had something to say. But again, what do they know? I'm really looking forward to this matchup. Mach, how you feeling about this one? Who do you think's coming out the winner?
I think Cody's gonna win. I don't see how it services the story for Brock to win unless they're just gonna keep kind of doing that, like where Cody just can't overcome the hurdle, and then unless they do like an injury angle, like a kayfabe injury angle, and he comes back at Rumble, wins it back to back like HBK did. I don't know. For me, I think Cody just walks away the winner. This is what Brock does, man. He puts people over, but he is Mr. SummerSlam, so we'll see.
Interesting. D, how you feeling about this one?
I mean, it's time. It's time for Brock Lesnar to go to sleep. It's time. It's time for the bear to go take his nap until the Royal Rumble. In WrestleMania, he's gonna go take his nap. So I mean, Cody's gonna win. Cody's definitely going because it's Brock. Because like Ma said, Brock does the right thing. He puts people over. He earns his money.
Yeah,
and he does what the boss says. He don't care. He just goes there, does his job, and goes home.
Yeah,
So I'm saying the American Nightmare is going to take it, bro. It's not going to be easy, but he's going to take it.
I'm with you. I'm with you both on that one. I think that Cody's going to close this out. He's going to finish this story, and I think that they're gonna generate some great clips. I think they're gonna work super stiff. And I mean, look, Brock Lesnar, man, what else can you say about this guy? What hasn't he done? And the fact that this guy is giving back to the business, he's still a huge name. He's a dude who could take the loss. It's not going to hurt him. People, every time they see him, they're going to pop huge. He doesn't really get hurt by a loss here. And I think that this also kind of sends Cody on his upward trajectory to getting back to the Royal Rumble, possibly winning it, and again, finishing the story with Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. So we'll see what happens there. But certainly a matchup to look forward to on the card. On the other side, we have a WWE Women's Championship match where the champion Asuka will be defending the title against Charlotte Flair, and the EST of WWE, Bianca Belair, in a triple threat match. I got to be honest, I've really been digging this build. I've been digging this feud.
Yeah.
I think they've been producing some great television matches. Charlotte, what else can you say about her? One of the absolute best of all time, men or women. Bianca Belair, I mean, her ascension to superstardom, she gets better with every time she's out there. And Asuka, who for me is the best woman in the business as far as it goes with in-ring work. I don't think there's really anybody better. Loving the Cyclo Clown gimmick. This is a tough one to call, but you know what? I got to say, I think Asuka's going to retain the title here. I think she's got to walk out the champion. Mach, how you feeling about this one?
I have a weird prediction on this. I think Charlotte goes to 6-0 at SummerSlam. And I think after the match, that's where Bianca turns heel. And then we get an EO cash-in.
Interesting.
Because
interesting.
All the rumors have it that we're having a successful cash-in at SummerSlam. And everybody thinks it's Damian. I think it's EO. I think she gets a successful cash-in. I think she walks out the SmackDown champ. Or whatever it's called. I don't know what they're called yet. It's
the Women's Undisputed, the WWE Women's Championship. That's what it's listed as here.
That's kind of how I have it.
D, how do you see this?
I mean, if Charlotte doesn't win, then I totally agree. Bianca turns heel. And Bianca turns heel. Because Asuka just got it. She just got it. She's been getting played a lot.
Yeah.
Every time she gets the belt, she gets played out. So I mean, if Charlotte doesn't win, Bianca turns heel. Asuka wins it by the skin of her teeth. But I don't think Damian or EO is going to cash in anything.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think so. Nah, maybe 2 more pay-per-views later. Maybe Survivor Series.
Okay.
Somebody cashes.
All right. That sounds pretty reasonable. I think Asuka's going to win based on the fact that this is a triple threat match. And, Asuka can just pin one of them while they're fighting. There's a lot of different ways that you can go. To Macho's point here, I definitely think that Bianca's going to turn heel because we're due for it. And I think that it's going to potentially lead to a matchup one-on-one between her and Charlotte, which I think we definitely need. Now, as far as the Io Sky thing is concerned, that's an interesting thing there.
Aren't
too,
they friends, though? Aren't her friends?
They're friends, but I mean, Io is technically a heel, but she's a face, and Bayley's the heel as well. And technically, Asuka's a heel, but I mean, I think the Io cash-in is interesting because now, where does that leave Bayley? I mean, Bayley's injured right now, and she's kind of being her heater, but at some point, Bayley's going to have to turn on Io.
Yeah.
And Bayley's going to have to want to get that title back. Whether that happens this weekend remains to be seen, but I certainly think that this matchup itself between those 3 performers as it stands is going to be one of the best matchups of the night. So I'm really, really looking forward to that. And all of the aforementioned possibilities that we had here, gentlemen, certainly could go down. Moving along, we have the World Heavyweight Championship match. Seth freaking Rollins defending his World Heavyweight Championship against Finn Balor. This is a matchup that has been brewing for a very, very long time. We had another match before this already, and obviously the infamous match, 7 years ago, where Finn got hurt and, won the Universal title courageously in that match, but unfortunately had to surrender it the following night. This is a tough one to call. D, I'm gonna give it to you first. Who do you see walking out of here the world heavyweight champion?
Finn Balor. Seth needs to go.
Interesting.
Seth needs to go because he needs a lot of surgeries. He said he's got to go.
Okay.
He's got to get. He's got to get a bunch of surgeries done. You know, they put it on him because he's the biggest name. He's the biggest name in the company right now, or one of the biggest names besides Roman. You know, so, and plus, you know, he's on Monday Night Raw. He's the biggest name on Monday Night Raw. You had to put it on him.
Are you basing this injury thing on that podcast that he was recently on, where he started discussing a lot of the injuries, the nagging injuries that he has?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think he was lying about that shit. So
Okay.
I mean, right now is a perfect time, bro. You know, go away, come back on the Rumble. You know, you know, come out at the Rumble. You know, make everybody go crazy. Go away for a little while. Finn wins, and Mr. Puerto Rico gets jealous, and I guarantee you next pay-per-view, Mr. Puerto Rico cashes the Money in the Bank.
Interesting. Wow. Well, Mach, speaking of Puerto Rico, you got that beautiful flag in the background. How do you see this World Heavyweight Championship match going down?
I agree. I think Finn Balor wins. I see the story a little bit differently with Damian. I think Finn becomes pretty paranoid of getting cashed in on, and I think he probably loses the title in a couple pay-per-views. Just like a regular match, just loses it back to Seth, and then Damian cashes in as soon as he loses it, almost like to keep the title in the bloodline or in the Judgment Day. But
interesting.
Yeah, I don't see Seth winning this. Seth is one of those guys that, like, we saw it a couple years ago, or maybe even last year. He can lose every single pay-per-view, and it doesn't hurt him at all. And him losing the title, I think it just adds credibility. Like, you know, even though Finn Balor might be the worst heel in the company, you know, I mean, he cuts babyface promo. He cuts babyface promos.
Wow.
Everything he says on the microphone, you're just like, how am I supposed to boo you, guy? Like, you know what I mean? Like, you're just a terrible heel. You know, I don't know. He's like Scrappy Doo out there. Like, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't even get it. Yeah.
Well, this is interesting. Yeah, I mean, I don't really know where to go. Conventional thinking would lead you to believe that Seth is going to walk out the champion here because he's going to keep the title until an inevitable cash-in. But I gotta say, just that whole element of Finn winning the title and then having that tension amongst the Judgment Day, I think that's just such an interesting story to tell. Plus, we're starting to see, you know, the bloodline kind of go down. They've been broken up. Now, you know, you really only have Solo and Roman and Heyman. The Usos are out of the equation. You got Jay challenging for the title. You need a strong faction to back up, you know, Monday Night Raw. You need them to come out and talk all this shit on the bloodline so that they can kind of bump it up. Plus, you got Dirty Dominic Mysterio, the most dangerous man in the business, having the North American Championship. Rhea Ripley has the women's title, okay? Damian Priest has Senor Money in the Bank. He is Senor Money in the Bank. Imagine Finn having that World Heavyweight Championship. Imagine those four coming out there, holding titles with the briefcase. This creates a very, very interesting story. I'm going to go against my better judgment, and I'm going to say that I think Finn Balor walks out the winner here. And I think that Finn finishes his story 7 years later.
Jesus.
So we'll see how that one goes, but it's certainly going to be a hell of a matchup. And in the main event of SummerSlam 2023, we have the undisputed WWE Universal Championship match. Champion Roman Reigns defending against Jey Uso.
You missed one.
What?
Ricochet.
Oh, I'm sorry. My bad. Oh, you're so right. I'm sorry. Before we get to the main event, we do have Ricochet taking on Logan Paul. So this is an interesting one. And I got to be honest, I've kind of been digging the vignettes. I know it's been Logan doing a lot of the heel work, but I got to say Ricochet is really starting to come into his own as a promo guy, and I've been enjoying the build-up to it. Mach, who do you see walking out in this match?
Logan Paul. I feel like he's lost a lot. And I know winning and losing really doesn't matter in the you know, the whole thing of like wrestling and stuff, but for some reason I just kind of feel like this is the perfect way to get him over. Like Ricochet, I don't see what they're gonna do with him unless they're gonna push him to like the IC title or, you know, do something else with him. I just don't see Logan losing this match. This is like the perfect way to get him more heat.
Interesting. D, how do you feel about this one?
I think this is gonna go all the way to WrestleMania, these two.
Oh,
I think they're going to be beef until WrestleMania. You know, you see how Logan Paul's going in on Ricochet as a little girly girl on the side, you know, the announcer chick. You know, so, I mean, I think Logan, he has to win.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they got to give the boys some kind of win.
Yeah, he hasn't won anything, man.
I think Ricochet will win in Mania. They're going to fight in Mania.
I like that. I like that long term, and I think that's great.
I don't hate it at all. I do think Mach brings up a good point. Logan Paul hasn't really won recently. He looked great in all the matches that he's had thus far. I mean,
that prime drink, dude.
Yeah, it's got to be the prime. I don't know what it is, but I mean, the guy is fantastic in the ring. He reminds me a lot of Edge. He reminds me of Art Barr, the late great Art Barr. He reminds me of so many different guys as a performer, but I mean, he's such a fucking natural. And I mean, you got to think this guy learned the fundamentals, went through the fundamentals. He just continues to excel every time he's out there. He's a heat magnet.
Yeah.
And as a related report from Billy Body, they do expect Logan Paul to win this match, and you can check out lockbetting.com. I think he's temporarily banned on Twitter for getting into a fight with somebody about something, but he's got great information.
You mean
on,
X?
Huh?
You mean X?
Yeah, it's X now. It's not Twitter anymore.
X. It's not Twitter.
Oh, well, X is going to give it to you. So whatever the case might be, is that what CM Punk did on the title? Was he like secretly like promoting,
My
X?
God, I don't want to talk about this. Everybody's sitting here saying he purposely X'd out the E and stuff. My God, the way people just like.
Yeah, I know. The internet's a strange place, but
my God,
it's
Bucks fans are the worst.
Oh, certainly. I mean, look, man. At the end of the day, I think if you like something too much that you can't see what's going on around you and you can't be objective, maybe you need to take a step back and take a deep breath. But Body had reported that Logan Paul has the intention of opening the show, which I think maybe the Battle Royal might not be the opener, and that might be the opener because he does want to try and fly out to see his brothers fight against Nate Diaz that same night as well. So
nice. 2 wins for the brothers, all right.
Yeah, we might see what happens, but if I definitely had to pick,
Nate Diaz gonna fuck his brother up too.
Maybe
he knows how to pick him. He's not gonna fight another boxer for a while. He knows how to pick him.
Yeah, I mean, look, dude, he got beat up by Tommy Fury, who everybody said was a model, and he wasn't a boxer. But guess what? His last name's Fury, and he beat him.
That's what I mean. He won't fight another boxer for a couple of years.
I don't think so either. Maybe some guy at the end of his rope. But I got to think Logan walks out the winner here. And you know what, Dia? I wouldn't be against the idea of them stretching it out to WrestleMania. Yeah. Obviously, Logan Paul's an attraction wherever he goes.
They got to start doing that again, E. They got to start making long-term storytelling.
Well, they have a lot of them.
Yeah, a lot.
I mean, to me, it's like the only one you're really noticing that's long story is Cody and Roman. Because remember how like Macho Man was beefing with Hogan for like almost 2 years.
I mean,
before he met him in Mania.
There's a lot of other feuds, man. There's a lot of other feuds. I mean, this Judgment Day thing with Sammy and Kevin, and then you got the Seth in there and Seth and fucking Finn. I mean, there's a lot of long-term stories.
You got Kevin there, not it's busting around. Not to change the subject, but Kevin's crying, and he might not want to be around in the next 5 years. Now, like. It's just I don't know.
We don't, but I mean, again, you got to take this stuff with a grain of salt. We know that the dirt sheets have been known to say a lot of strange things. We also know that these guys love to stir the pot and they love to get people invested in what they do.
Damn it, the hell.
So,
well, just think about what just happened there. You just got angry thinking about Kevin Owens like leaving. Think about all his fans that are going to be like, "Nah, don't leave," and then all of a sudden he's more popular than Sami Zayn on television because they're just worried that he's going to leave. So, I mean, that works really well.
Ding ding, right there, exactly. That's what they're doing. They're working you, man. Just like we are here on Working the Marks.
Yeah.
In the main event of SummerSlam 20, did I miss any other matches? That was the last one I missed. Okay, I just want to make sure before we move forward. I'm usually not calling it, so we got some other guy who's absent.
You're doing good though. You're doing good. Unlike other people who don't show up to work.
Well, thank you, D. That's mighty white of you. I appreciate that.
Part of the show.
So in the main event, we have the undisputed WWE Universal Championship match, and we have Roman Reigns defending the championship against Jey Uso in Tribal Combat. I think this match is going to be awesome. I think these two, the build, everything that they've been doing, their family.
What is Tribal Combat? Is that just another way of saying no rules?
I guess that's just a fancy way of saying it. It's a gimmick match, as far as I'm concerned here. But I absolutely
They're gonna
think
pull
that
out
these
tiki
two
poles and stuff like that.
they might bust it out. I don't know. They something maybe a 49er jersey because they're both Niner fans. Bang bang
Yeah.
Niner gang. So they might do something in the matchup, but obviously these two are going to be working snug. You have two cousins going at it. Mach, I'm going to start with you on this one. Who do you think is walking out of this match the undisputed WWE Universal Championship?
I think it's Roman. I think that if he loses, that would be his third straight premium live event he'd lose. Yeah, so I don't think there's any way he loses this match. I mean, you keep him as champ for as long as you can. As Austin said after he won at Mania, like, you can't stop now.
Right.
And I think from all reports, the plan is to turn him face and to have him have a pretty lengthy face champion. Mm-hmm. So I think that's the right call. Who knows? Maybe The Rock comes out at the end of this. We'll see. That would be great for me. I'm a big Rock fan, but yeah, we'll see.
Nice. D, how you feeling about this one?
I don't know, man. I do think I smell what The Rock is cooking. I think The Rock is going to be there because of that whole Hollywood debacle that's going on right now. He's got nothing else to do.
Yeah, I would love that. I think that's a great call there.
No, The Rock's definitely gonna be in the house.
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. And I love Jay, bro. I love the Usos. To me, they're the second greatest tag team of all time, next to the fucking God damn it, my mind's fucking blanking. ROH, fucking the Briscoes. Next to the
Nice.
Briscoes. The Briscoes are number one to me, man.
Okay. I don't hate that.
Nope, I'm not arguing with that. Nope.
But they're not gonna put a title.
I thought you were gonna say the Hart Foundation. Honestly.
No. I fucking hate the Hart.
Well, I figured because you got the Anvil look going and stuff.
No. Back then I was a Road Warrior fan, dude. I love the Road Warriors, man.
Nice.
Fuck that shit,
Oh my god.
But thank you for the Anvil look. I like that.
Yeah.
But I mean, Jay's a great guy, man. Great worker and everything, man. But he's not the picture of heavyweight material.
Mm.
Heavyweight guys, that's Roman.
Yeah.
And why are you gonna take it off of Roman for when you got him, Cody in the back waiting?
Well, I'll tell you this much: they've been putting out a lot of information out there that supposedly Roman's not going to be advertised for SummerSlam and for for Survivor Series and some of the fall pay-per-views.
Give him a break.
So
I just survived fucking cancer 2-3 times. Give him a break.
Well,
yeah.
Here's the thing. Again, we go back to that term card subject to change. And I think right now, barring any serious injury that Roman has, I think they're working the dirt sheets. And I think that they're trying to create this aura that Roman's going to lose. For me, there is no other ending to Roman's story than for someone to finish the story at WrestleMania. I'm fucking putting that thing in the ground, man. I'm beating that dead horse.
I love it.
I can't help it, but I think Roman's got to hold on to it. And you know what? I'm going to say along the way, he's probably going to end up losing Solo until he gets to WrestleMania. Heyman's probably going to stick around with him, and I would not be surprised if he retires Edge next month. So these are all certainly things to ponder. But I do think that Roman has to walk out the champion. You got to keep this run going. Jay is a fantastic performer. He does so well in these segments. Just the entire bloodline, they're just amazing. And, for as much as maybe Jay as champion would be interesting, from a fan's perspective, I just don't think long-term there's a whole hell of a lot there that you can do like the way you can with Roman. But again, most of the people that feel that way will probably tell you that Sammy should have won and that Cody should have won. And, I mean, look at where we're at right now. So I think the streak continues. I think Roman keeps it. To Mach's point here, you're not going to have him lose 3 times on a PLE. I think we keep it going, and I think Roman Reigns walks out the champion. So certainly a lot of great matchups to look forward to this weekend. I'm excited for it. I know you guys are excited for it.
What's your opinion on The Rock being there?
I mean, look, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. To your point, I mean, you got this strike going on now with SAG and with the writers guilds and stuff.
Yeah.
So I would not be surprised if The Rock dropped in. Plus, you had him in a little exchange with Grayson Waller. Anything's kind of possible at this point. And coincidentally, at the same time on AEW on Collision, for all you colliders out there,
that's like a secondary promotion.
Damn, Triple D over here. You know what I'm saying? But you got CM Punk defending the Real World Championship, the AEW Real World Championship, against Ricky Starks with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat as the special guest referee. that matchup is going to be the main event. You got to think that it's going to be on maybe around 9:30, close to maybe 10, maybe 9:45, close to 10, right? So I would not be surprised if maybe the WWE pops out a surprise around 9:30, 9:45 to try and get people to switch. And I got to say now,
some rock action?
maybe. I mean, what other, as a wrestling fan, right? Let's just say you're an AEW guy or you're a CM Punk guy, right? And you want to watch this championship match where Punk is defending this title against Ricky Starks with Ricky the Dragon Steamboat as a guest ref. And then all of a sudden you get a text message from your friend saying, holy shit, The Rock's on fucking SummerSlam. What are you going to do?
Change the channel, baby.
You know what I'm saying? So
I could see that, like an impromptu Grayson Waller effect.
Yeah.
Like, at 9:30, we have Grayson Waller effect, and then he's talking shit, and here comes The Rock. Yeah, you're not watching Collision.
No. You can fucking record that shit. You can catch it later, but you're not going to miss The Rock.
I think Punk knows that too.
Probably,
I think he does too. I mean, look, he's a very smart guy. We know that. He's not oblivious to these things, and I think he understands the impact of a guy like The Rock because he worked with the guy, and he's seen what he's capable of. So definitely a lot of surprises in store, and it's certainly going to be another card going along with the many long line of PLEs that the WWE has been delivering this year. I'm sure it's going to be action-packed, and it's going to be great from top to bottom.
This would be like 14 in a row of like excellent PLEs, right?
Yeah.
They have not had a battle. Even the Saudi Arabia ones have been great.
Yeah. I mean, they're firing on all cylinders right now. They're definitely the hottest company going, and certainly going to be keeping an eye on SummerSlam this weekend. Well, before we go, which we do have to run, we do have some time constraints here, and Vince McFamcast is texting me over here. He's telling me we got to start cutting it up short. D, do you have anything you want to plug before we end this episode here today?
Yes, I think if you want to be the number one wrestling promotion in the world, you need to change your thing from pay-per-views to PLEs.
Interesting. Wow. All right.
I
like it.
I'll call them PLEs.
I like premium live event. Although technically, see, this was an argument that I would have with our absentee co-host. He said that there are still pay-per-views, but technically they're not pay-per-views because you are paying per view. Now with Peacock, you would be paying $10 every time you're watching the show, and then that would make it a pay-per-view. Yep. But it is a premium live event because you're paying $10 a month if you're not a fucking cheapskate and you want less commercials. So there's that. Mach, before we let you go, do you have anything you want to plug here on the show? Anything you want to let the fans of Working the Marks know about?
Yeah, I have a podcast of my own, as you can see there under my name there. It's called Must Love Wrestling. It's me and my co-host, Tyler Taylor. And we pretty much go through a lot of things. We've come up with a lot of our own formats like Wrestler Spotlight. And we just recently, last week, started doing a segment where we talk about wrestlers' books and things like that. And if you want to interact with me on a daily basis, I am on the TikToks, and you can follow me at BORICUA.LOU. And you could talk to me there. I catch a lot of heat for some of my comments on there. So,
well, that means you're doing something right?
Yeah,
I mean, people are paying attention to you, and they're
interacting. I was actually looking for your show. Where is your show located at?
Spotify.
No Apple, none of that stuff.
No, just Spotify. I do the whole Spotify, and then we do the video on Riverside and just upload it to Spotify. So, if you do go to my TikTok page, the link is in my bio. And you can click on it there too.
Nice. Well, we'll certainly be looking out for that. I think it's really great that you're doing a lot of these wrestler spotlights. I think it's a unique thing to do.
Oh yeah, we just doing our 2-parter now. Last week was part 1 for the Heartbreak Kid, Shawn Michaels. We did his tights career, and then this weekend we'll be doing the pants career. So
nice. I like that. That's an interesting way to divide his career there.
Yeah.
It's definitely great to see stuff like that. And I really like the original concept of analyzing wrestlers' books. I mean, there's so many great books that have been written by so many wrestlers throughout the years, managers, referees, everybody that's been in the business. So it's definitely something to look out for. And all of our listeners will be looking out for
me. Please go on Apple for me.
Okay, I gotcha. Got it.
I forgot. He's an iPod snob. You know,
I'm
he's
an
an
iPod
Apple
I mean,
snob
so am I. Yeah.
You're an Apple snob too? Oh, God.
Oh yeah, I have been for a very long time.
If you want much, I will put the opening out there. If you would like to be on the Famcast Media Podcast Network with your thing, I will. If you send me the MP3s, I will put it up for you.
Oh, okay. That sounds good. I like that. Yeah. Now I have your email on my stuff, so we can email back and correspond back and forth. Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yes, sir.
Fantastic. Look at that, man. Making connections here on Working the Marks without what's his face over here, who's probably, I don't know, in a jail cell in Interpol or at the border.
Beach.
Yeah, or a sweet whatever, the other word. But, it's been great having you here, Mach. We appreciate it. We look forward to having you on in the future. Because
man.
obviously some people are not going to show up. And, Dee, always a pleasure working with you. I mean, just you're an absolute joy, a peach and a gem. And I really look forward to producing more content here with you. Well, folks, thank you so much for tuning in. He's Macho Rodriguez. He's Dee Rotten. And I'm Patty Reekin, the star of the show. And every week here on Working the Marks, we are doing exactly that. Working the Marks. We'll be seeing you soon, folks. Have a great one.
Famcast Media.